Hello and welcome to another episode of What's for Today. And the topic for today is Halloween special. We're going to talk about horror stories. So, that's why you're hearing me in a very unnatural way, trying to scare you, but I'm probably making a fool out of myself. Let's just continue and get right into the topic. With me, I have my friends, Mr. Shawn Langford and Mr. Rishi Nair, and I am Zishan. And we wanted to have a Halloween special just to go over some scary stories which we touched upon in the previous episode. So we just thought, let's give it another shot. Let's see what other stories are catch our fancy. Before we get into the actual horror stories that you guys saw online, any personal supernatural experiences or horror experiences? I know Shawn has one, so let's start with Shawn. Sorry to put you in the spot, but
actually, before we get into the personal stories, I just wanted to bring something up. So, Halloween, the day that it is mentioned, right? So it is on 31st of October, and so apparently the Halloween origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. No, wait, it's pronounced as Samhain, Sowin, but the spelling is Samhain. The thing is, I actually have heard this particular word in a couple of movies where they do pronounce it as Samhain, but okay, they're saying it as Sowin. The Celts who lived 2000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom and northern France, celebrated their New Year on November 1st. This day marked the end of the summer and the harvest, and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was often associated with human death. The Celts believed that on the night before the New Year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, when it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. They basically thought that the crops that were getting damaged and everything, they blamed it on the dead spirits who were there. So that is the basics of your Halloween. Although I think I don't think you see much of the celebration. I mean, at least we have seen it more popularized in the Hollywood movies, I guess, as opposed to even we don't have it in those Irish based movies or even in UK based movies. I mean, I don't know. Have you guys seen anything like that?
Basically, Halloween, if you see also, it's more referred to into what is it, US pop culture and stuff, right?
Right.
Like outside of US, and I think even Canada to an extent doesn't celebrate it. I'm not sure about that. But
no, they do. We do.
Yeah,
not as a celebration, but yeah, it's a little less than US.
It's more in US and Canada than I think before COVID hit, even in UAE and in India, it was there was people who were starting to celebrate it. I'd even seen it in a couple of TV shows and TV series in India where they were bringing up the concept of Halloween. So I think it was slowly becoming into a wider thing, but then it just stopped because of the pandemic.
Actually, my question is, why do you think this is catching on? What makes Halloween very? You wouldn't think of celebrating something which is supposed to be scary and stuff like that. You don't celebrate dead like this. You have Cinco de Mayo of this thing, but
you do. But then it's more on the concept of how horror films are. People enjoy horror films. No one likes to be scared, but you do enjoy watching a horror movie. You do enjoy watching a thriller. So I think it's just that fascination of death and ghosts and everything that your interest towards Halloween, and it's like. When you're a kid, you enjoy Christmas and Easter more. But then when you grow older, this scary stuff and the horror stuff interests you more. So obviously, you lean towards Halloween and all the other, things like that, like Cinco de Mayo, for example, also. No, not Cinco de Mayo.
No, it is something Della Morte, huh?
Yeah,
Morte, something it was. Day of the Dead, basically.
Yeah, the Day of the Dead. That also got famous because of James Bond. Meaning that celebration got more widespread because of James Bond.
You didn't know there is something of this in which Metal Gear Solid 5, I think. Five, one the older ones, where
Mm-hmm.
not Snake Eyes. Who's the other guy? The cyborg fellow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
He
man.
yeah. So basically, he ends up going into a whatever the Day of the Dead parade. He has to disguise himself and get into it. So that's why
Yeah.
I know of this thing. And then yes, later on, yes, like what you said in James Bond, and also in Superman, actually, Man of Steel, or was it Batman vs Superman?
Maybe.
Where
Mm.
where Superman lands and there's a whole bunch of guys standing there with the painted face, with skulls on the face and stuff. So
I think that'll be Batman with Superman.
BVS, yeah.
Yeah, it's a new, relative new phenomenon. Like in India and other places, like they're just trying to, how do I say it lightly? Like just be more embracing of Western ideas. So they're just trying to ape certain traditions that might not be local to their culture. Like I'm, and you said Day of the Dead. Like it's basically a day in Mexico that they use for remembering their ancestors, like Dios de la Muerte,
That's
Muerto.
one. Yeah.
Um, there's something similar like that in South China as well. Like I remember I was speaking to a colleague, and we can probably segue away from this in a bit. But like he was mentioning, like it's like a national holiday. It's not like a festival as such, but it's just to like kind of remember their dead. So what they do is the whole country has a day or two off, and they basically go and visit their ancestors and loved ones in uh, cemeteries and whatever, right? Like whatever their method of remembering is. So yeah, it's just reminded me of that.
No, it's also there in some southern parts of India, like in Tamil Nadu and all. In some areas, when a person dies, they put the corpse on a chair and they
Mm-hmm.
carry around in the arms and they just dance and go around with it. Like it's like a celebration of his life.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
So
put
people do
sunglasses
that
and
too.
everything on that.
Yeah, sunglasses and everything they put on the body and they
So
just
yeah,
dance around with the body.
I'm sorry, but that's painting a very weird picture in my head. I'm remembering those Ghanaian flag,
Yeah,
sorry, not
similar to
flag
that.
bearers,
Similar to
the
that.
pall
it is
bearers. What are
similar.
pall
Yeah,
bearers? Yeah.
it is similar
It
because
is similar.
I seen this live, actually, live in the sense that we were there when this happened. So mom,
I
dad, and
think
I,
I've
when
seen it.
but I was like very very young, and the thing is, dad pulls a lot of pranks and he cracks a lot of jokes. And the thing is, you never know when he's cracking jokes because he looks very serious. So mom, dad, and I, we had gone to Chennai for something, and suddenly like there was a traffic jam of some sort. So we were standing in traffic, and there's a huge procession coming. So mom and I, we see a guy sitting on a chair, and he's being carried by people, and everyone's like dancing their hearts out. So dad is like they're celebrating his death. He said it in such a way that we thought that he's mad at the person because some leaders come and they're having a procession, and they he this is celebrating his death, that kind of a manner. And then mom is, don't say like that, poor fellow, if he dies like that. Dad like, no, he's actually dead, and he's on the chair. They've tied him and kept so he doesn't fall from there, and he's put glasses for that so that his eyes are not it's not like bulging out or whatever. So you make sure that his eyes are clear and everything. And so they basically embalmed the whole thing is over, but they're carrying him to his pyre. Okay, so this is actually a funeral procession that's happening, and that is when I realized that we were still in the impression that it was a dash cracking joke, but the driver who was there with us, he said no, it's true, this person has died, and this is how some of the processions go away.
In I think it was Venezuela or Colombia, where there's this person who is actually mastered the art of embalming the body and preserving it to look like it's actually lifelike. They'll keep the corpse in such a way that it looks like the person is just sitting as he is alive. There are videos of these pictures also where a person who will just be sitting, but you won't even know he's dead unless someone tells you. The body is made and kept in such a position, and the embalming also is done in such a way that it just looks realistic, lifelike.
But so similar to, so in connection to what you said, right? So there is this thing where back in the day, I think it was those black and white photographs where the big stand. Okay, so it's basically the pinhole camera reverse, whatever. So if a lady gives birth to a child and the child is stillborn or the child dies at birth or whatever, right? So then, so for the sake of remembering the child, what they do is the embalming, everything is done on the child, and as it's a newborn baby, okay, and then they have to keep the baby next to the mother, and this is like a family portrait. It's not like they're in the hospital or something. They have brought the baby home. They're sitting on the chair, all the whole setup and everything. So like a family picture, and the baby is dead, okay, but it is sitting or placed on the mother's lap, and the photo is taken. This is to make sure that they know that okay, we had a child or whatever. But
It's also no. It's not only baby. It's there for even adults. Even if suppose the person is dead, they do it still. They still do it with the person. Even if the person is like alone, they take a photo of the corpse so that you remember, the future generations remember that this is how the person looked at their final moments. It used to be a very morbid ideology people used to have at those times.
I mean, the humans have this very weird obsession with death. I mean, death and life, as like you the extension of life beyond death and stuff like that. So that is very interesting. So, keeping in the same line of things of Halloween and how we're talking about dead things and stuff. So the tradition of wearing costumes and everything, it is actually there since the Celtic time that I was talking about earlier. So apparently, to commemorate the event, Druids, which are priests in Celtic, built huge sacred bonfires where the people gather to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities. During the celebration, the Celts wore costumes, typically consisting of animal heads and skins, and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. When the celebration was over, they relit their hearth fires, which they had extinguished earlier that evening from the sacred bonfire to help them protect them from the coming winter. So this is like what Z was talking about, how different cultures and everything actually. So when if you read the entire article, it's basically saying that this particular tradition of the Celts, right? They have been, I wouldn't say bastardized, but it's basically been absorbed by different cultures, because after this you're having where the Romans have invaded the Celts, and then it goes on to America and stuff, because you have Irish people coming to America, and then the Irish people in America, then they make it popular in America, and then the story grows over there. So the costumes of dead animals, whatever, it converts into the scariest thing you can think about, like you have in your scary movie stuff, right? So when you guys are talking about the different days of death that we celebrate, even Christianity has one thing where you have something called as the All Saints Day, which is actually All Souls Day and the All Saints Day. So All Souls Day is where we go, like this is what Z was talking about. So South China or in Japan, where they go and they pray for the dead. So this is basically what we do. So we go to the grave and we pray. You have the priest coming and they bless the graves on that day and stuff like that. What is the one thing that freaks you out, like that really scares you?
My bank balance.
I thought you'll say your parents.
Parents, no. An empty road at night when there's like a little bit of mist, I guess. Like since childhood, like that's kind of gives me like an eerie feeling. If I'm walking alone in a car, sometimes I feel safe. But
walking alone,
walking alone, that might freak me out at night.
For me, if that was the case, if I had music on, I mean, if I had earphones on, that would freak me out even more.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you were going to say if you had earphones on, it wouldn't freak you out. I was like, that would be more freaky actually. But
yeah, because you can't hear anything around you. Like, you think that, okay, you're cutting off your sense, one sense of listening. So any crunch or crack, whatever, you won't hear it. You won't freak out. Yeah, but then because if you go to see any of the horror movies that you watch, right, the scariest part of the movie is not the jump scare; it's the music. And did you know that there's actually psychology behind that? Behind the music, this thing, composition.
What is it called?
Okay, so the idea behind it is that there are specific chords, or specific tones. Which or like specific the way it goes, the progression that it goes, if you listen to it, it kind of raises your attention. So if you're going to listen to even if you're not watching a scary movie, if you just listen to the audio, it'll still increase your the tension that you're facing. So similar ones are used in that epic kind of music, or the battle music. So it basically raises the tension, or raises your adrenaline in your body. So that is the idea when it comes to these horror movies. So they use such tones or these chords, which will, like, it's more on the bass, this thing, and it goes bass to a high pitch, which is it basically gives you the tension that something creepy is coming and stuff. So that's why you tend to get freaked out. That's why the first, for me at least, it was earlier, it was to cover my eyes, because I used to get, I did this when I was in 10th too. Cover my eyes and watching a horror movie.
Yeah, I used to cover my ears and close my eyes.
And later on I realized it's a sound that's freaky.
Ooh.
And I closed my eyes in which movie, and this is the most rubbish movie ever. And now that I think about it, it's the most rubbish movie. House of Wax.
Familiar. No.
House of what?
Wax.
Paris Hilton.
Paris Hilton, Jared Padalecki, and somebody else. But it wasn't scary. It was more of that gore kind of stuff. But I don't know. For me, the jump scares and stuff was not. I don't like horror movies at all. I hate horror movies.
I hate horror movies.
Oh wow!
Hence, we do a podcast on horror stories.
Very pattu.
So for Z, it is walking alone on misty roads. Where you find some misty roads and when do you walk that is the question actually.
Actually, where I stay, there is like a not farmland or so, like, but there's like nearby there's like farmland. So I sometimes, like, when I'm out with friends for dinner or whatever, and it's like after dusk basically. No. Yeah, from after dusk basically. After sunset basically, it's like a little bit dark. And then the weather is such, like, last couple of weeks have been there's like a little low-lying mist or a fog around the farm area, so it gives a bit of a spooky feel. So usually I have like music turned up at that time, so it doesn't bother me as much. But I'm sure I would find it very freaky if I would be walking alone at night over there.
Walking alone anyway kind of if it's in the night especially, it creeps you out.
Are you sure your area is not an old cemetery or something? Like maybe
there are a couple of cemeteries nearby.
Maybe your building was on top of a cemetery.
Who knows? No, usually you have cemeteries near churches, right? And there are quite a few churches around. So,
but majority, I mean, like if you listen to most of the stories about like, those old haunted houses and like haunted hospitals and stuff, schools and all, they always say this. No, it is built on a burial ground. It is built near a cemetery and stuff. So
yeah,
that's like a common thing to go to.
I get scared easily, but I managed to keep a face in such a way that people don't realize I'm scared, unless I'm really, really scared. Like then you. But I don't scream or anything. I don't go like something like that. But I don't know, just falling or something, like, because I'm afraid of losing balance and just falling off a building or something like that. But I'm not that afraid that I don't go to balconies. Like I have a friend who before, when I was searching for a apartment, he was like anything above the 4th floor he doesn't want to take because he's afraid of heights.
Oh, okay.
And right now I live on the 26th floor, so I like to tease him and tell him to come to the balcony and see what he can't.
Yesterday I said I couldn't join the call, right? So I went with like my friends here for to the beach basically. Like we had arranged for like jet ski rental, and like my brother had gone for parasailing.
Wait, one of my first important question: how many girls are with you?
0.
And second question: if no girls, then why? What is also going to a beach if you don't have any girls with you? Like the
not with us. There was a lot of beauty to admire around. That was not the problem.
That is a matter. The only time I go to a beach is if I have a girl in the company. Otherwise, I don't go to the beach.
So I didn't know that life hack. So next time I will pay close attention to it. Anyway, so one of my fears, going back to one of my fears, is like I'm in a plane crash, so to speak. And it crashes in the sea. Somehow I'm the only one who survived. I don't know how to swim. So that's like a biggest nightmare. So, and most likely I will drown if that happens. So yesterday I came close to drowning in my head because I fell off the jet ski and I don't know how to swim. there's like a life vest, but I took in a bit of water too, so like I was kind of freaked out. So that's what I was trying to get at.
How did
So
you
yeah, just
survive
chop it out. Huh?
No, we want this. This is a good blackmail material.
No, my mom will kill me. My mom asked how did it went. I was like, oh, thumbs up. Lucky I was on the jet ski for like 2 minutes. I was like, fuck, like I can't do this. I went back.
Your mom will kill you. The drowning almost killed you.
The drowning almost killed me, yeah, for sure.
I mean, your mom deserves to know the truth.
Yes.
Yes. And wait, how did you survive the drowning?
It's a vest, no?
The life vest, but I had to keep my head above the water. Even then, I took some water.
Yeah, obviously you will take. So someone pulled you back.
Yeah, there were like I don't know, the rescue boats nearby. Like they keep stuff like people handy, right? Like lifeguards and all that. So like yeah, so one of those guys came over.
I don't have a fear of heights. I just have a fear of losing balance. Like I feel I'm not very balanced. I don't have enough balance or grace.
But that is like that's like a phobia kind of a stuff, right? I mean, I'm talking about like this like what Z was talking about. You walk in the middle of the road and you feel like okay, something is there and it kind of creeps you out or it freaks you out.
Now, for example, I am not afraid of the dark or anything, but once in a blue moon, you get that fear, that like usually I sometimes sleep with the door unlocked. But once in a while, this thought comes in my head: anyone can just come in and murder me when I'm sleeping. Oh. But I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, what will the murderer achieve by murdering me? And then I just go to sleep. Like, yeah, okay, his loss.
For me, it's this constant fear that I'm not alone. Like, not in the universe kind of a thing, but it's more like, so I've been staying alone for like many years in the sense like what I think almost from 2011 from 2012 almost I think. Wait, when did we graduate? 2008, right, from school?
Oh, 2008. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You went to Chennai, so yeah, 2009, 10. Like you were with friends then, but like still kind of alone.
No, but in my room I was alone. So, but I've been alone for quite some time. Living in this house, I was alone for a long time, for many years. Point being that, so I'm so used to being alone that even the slightest sense of like something nearby presence, if it gives me this sudden what do you call it? It's not anxiety, but it gives you sort of this feeling. Okay, I know there's someone around me. So I think for a week when I took the hiatus, that time mom dad were not at home, right? So then it went back to normal, like it's sort of like a reset where I know that there's no one around me and stuff like that. So the constant fear the constant thing that there's someone around kind of freaks me, like especially if it's all of a sudden, it creeps me a lot. That happened. That there's another reason also why that's there, because that we'll get into once we get into the stories part of it. But yeah, that it's very scary for me. The sudden feeling of there's someone present around me. That's why I think the last one when we did the urban legends episode, when we were reading about the scary one, the bathroom one, as in the stalker one. The moment I read that, I got the those hair standing back of the neck. Yeah, the moment I got it, the first thing, so I get that the shiver, and I start looking out if anyone's there or not. Like that, I'm very distinct about it. Everything else I can manage as long as I don't get this fear. I'm fine.
What about the Alabama health kit?
To be honest with you, when Nathan was talking about the Alabama, our mythical friend,
the mythical creature. Mythical creature.
So when we were talking about Alabama Hellgate, at that point of time, actually I was thinking about one thing where if I was in the driver's seat, and if I was there, I wouldn't probably figure out. See, if I'm seeing the person in front of me, if I'm seeing the ghost in front of me, it's fine. Okay, but if it's all of a sudden sits behind you, then I'm going to shed bricks.
I would be like, I remember there was this urban legend I read. So okay, I think we're just going to border into another stories. So this one I'm just going to be saying like how I remember it. Okay, so a woman is driving her car on the highway, and when she is driving, there's a truck. A big truck is there behind her, and it starts flashing its light on her. Okay, so she gets scared and she drives faster. And then after 2 minutes, the same truck is flashing the light, and she's so scared. She's just driving. And almost every 30, 40 seconds, the truck is constantly flashing the lights and going very close to the car, but it's not
Hmm.
hitting. It's going very close. She's she reaches her house. She this one jumps out of the gets out of the car and calls the cops. She calls the cops just before she reaches home, and she tells the cops like just come there. As soon as she reaches home, she gets out of the car, runs inside the house. Cops have reached. The truck is also there, and then as soon as she sees the cop, she gets out of the car. I mean, she gets out of the house and she goes to the cops and the truck driver. And the truck driver is like, uh, there's a person in the back seat with a knife. And whenever he
Oh,
was coming to stab you, I was flashing the lights, and he was getting scared because of that. And they see that there
oh,
was a guy in the back with a knife.
Holy shit. Okay.
good.
This is why you should always check your back seat before you enter your car.
Yeah, when I started doing that, when I started watching those movies, not the horror movies, but you have those assassin movies, right? Where they be like
Hmm.
hiding in the backseat of the car, and all of a sudden, like they
Hmm.
get up and then they choke you from behind.
Hmm.
So the first thing I do,
Yeah, I follow the same logic. What are they going to achieve by murdering me? Kill me.
Yeah, exactly. Now I see value in what Rishi has to say. What are they achieving?
Yeah. Yeah,
I,
what do they achieve? I mean, all they have to do then, killing me makes them carry 110 kg cops. That is, and
Yes.
which increases
plus
weight
dead
every
weight.
minute because of the plus dead weight. That's what is increasing its weight. So all I see is it's going to be an inconvenience for them.
Yeah.
No, but just
Hence,
yeah,
hence
but is
being
they going to kill you
skinny
while
is
you're
not healthy for
driving?
you.
Yes, Sean, you're a murder. You're prime target for murder.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
big, easy to kill.
But then, if the most stupidest assassin, so like you have the same where you have assassins who come and say, "My first day as an assassin," and they mix poison in water and they taste and see
Yeah,
how it is. So it's the
yeah.
same thing. If you're having an assassin in the backseat of a car and you're driving and he kills you while you're driving, that's another super assassin because even he will die in the
No,
accident.
but yeah, he would. But then I think it could be a deranged assassin who doesn't care about what is going on.
Oh yeah, possible, possible. So when you're talking about this, the whole creepy stuff and scary stuff, right? So which are the movies that when again we're just venturing into movies a bit. So which are the movies that like really left a very dented impression on you when it comes to like scary stuff?
I haven't seen too many horror movies. Or is it? Can we open it up to any genre?
Why? Which rom-com did scared you a lot? Man?
No. No. A horror movie that comes to mind. Like, I don't first of all watch too many horror movies, but
Like, are you
couple.
going to say that? Are you going to say that seeing Jab We Met got you so scared you are afraid
No,
of a
no.
relationship or something?
That also, but no.
What if she is loud like this?
No. What I was gonna say was that shit. What's the not like what's the not Annabelle, but like I think in the same The Conjuring. The Conjuring was one freaky movie that my cousins took me. They're like, oh, you're scaredy cat. Oh, come with perfect. Let's watch the movie together. So we watched it in theater.
This is why usually you're not afraid of horror movies, but you hate comedy movies. So they'll only take you for comedy movies. This is called reverse psychology.
Oh yes, I should do that next time. I'm not so smart.
Yeah.
And another one that I saw was Grave Encounters. I think, I think relatively lower budget, but it was like it switches between first person view and third person haunting, like horror movie. Like it was a bit scary, a bit unnerving. We saw it like around the golden time of 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Oh, okay.
But it was like a bunch of us watching together, like 6-7 people. So in between, we'd just like do weird jump scares to each other, also just to freak everyone out. But we ended up like spoiling a bit of the movie by just like just making fun, looking for loopholes and things like that. So yeah, it turned it into a comedy a bit.
The last scary, not scary, but a movie which had a little bit of jump scares I saw was 80 Diane, which had Imran Hashmi and Uma Qureshi. But that
and
too,
you
I
know why
went
you
for
watched that?
Yeah, that's what I went for, the obvious reason. Uma Qureshi.
Imran Hashmi, yeah, you know.
Yeah, Imran Hashmi was second. I like Imran Hashmi. He's a very good actor. So, But yeah, other than that, yeah, I'm not seen horror movies much because I prefer to avoid it, and I hate uh, this. The videos which start with something else and then suddenly just go into a jump scare or something,
The oldest
which
one
is
was on the
Oh,
Nokia mobile. Remember that when we were in school in the Nokia mobile,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
on the
I
car on
don't
the
like
hill.
videos like that. Yeah,
That
I
and the
don't like
maze
videos
thing.
like. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't like those kind of stuff. I'm not a big fan of it. I like sending it to people, but I don't like seeing it. But obviously, I don't search for it. If I end up finding it, then only I send it off.
For me, I mean, to be honest with you, if I get in the mood of watching horror movies, only then would I watch it. So in between, there was a sort of like a patch of time when I used to watch horror movies, of which Blair Witch Project was one which I had tried because
Hmm.
it was like among the scariest movies and stuff. So I started watching Blair Witch, but I didn't find it scary, to be honest.
Hmm.
But then it came towards the end, and I've never been so freaked out. So most of these found footage movies, right? So I'm talking about Paranormal Activity is the first one, not the sequels after that. So the first one, second one, and then the first one, and then you have your this one. Then there's one movie
Yeah.
in Hindi, found footage, and you know who's acting in that? Varun Thakur. Okay, and the movie
Varun
is called.
Thakur.
He's a comedian who's
Oh,
there.
okay, that guy.
Ha.
Right.
And the movie's name is just a question mark. The movie's name is question mark, and that also is a found footage. The thing why it's freaky is because, for me at least, because so me and the guys usually go for this overnight stays and those long drive and stuff. This is basically a bunch of friends who are staying the night in some secluded place, and this is basically how we stay. We go to Lonavala, those like far off places from our side, and then we stay overnight, and we end up talking late night and stuff, and we end up having migraines and stuff the next day. So this is basically the same stuff that happened to these people also, and it was kind of scary. So we kind of related to that. Found footage scares me, but the one that has freaked me out the most, and I've mentioned this even in the movies episode also, is that Malayalam movie Mani Chitra Taram. Yeah. Till date. For anyone asking what it is the original version of Bulbulaya and Nagmani, or whatever it is. Seeing Shobana's eyes is.
Nagavali.
Yeah, Bulbalaya itself was a little freaky. Like, she did a good job with Vidya Bala.
Should also Rajnikant version.
Yeah, no, I know, but I haven't seen that. But I've seen the Hindi version.
And one movie called Shutter.
Shudder or Shutter?
Shutter. Camera Shutter.
Okay.
SHUTTER.
I think you saying shut up.
No, Shutter, where it is. I forgot the actor's name. He's there in Fringe. What's the guy who's there in Fringe? The main actor, Joshua something. So he.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So he is there in Shutter. Oh my God! The entire movie is not scary, except for the end. What is the worst nightmare you've had?
For the past few days, I'm having nightmares, but
About according to the episode?
No, I don't know what, but they're not nightmares which are scary. It is just nightmares which basically are like like bad stuff happening, but it's not scary. Like for example, now one nightmare I was having was basically something work related, and then yesterday was family related, and I was like, they're not scary, but they're just uncomfortable, annoying nightmares. No, I do feel like I must have woken up once or twice with a very bad, scary dream, but I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure.
I vividly remember two, like terrifying ones. You see, have you had a nightmare you woken up from?
That I woken up from? Yes, I have. A lot of times in the past.
And there are no nightmares which you have never woken up from, because obviously you're woken up.
Exactly. That's why I was confused by the question.
No, in the sense like, it is so scary. Basically, you jump scared yourself.
Wake up, Shawn, wake up.
I've had nightmares which I experienced. What do you say? And I started like mumbled scream. I don't know what to say, but like you get freaked out, right? Like you're like ooh, like that, and like my mom was around. Like you're like really scared. You're panicking in your dream, and then my mom was around. She's like, "Hey, kya hua? What happened? Wake up, wake
Should
up,
I
wake
slap
up."
you one? Like,
No, this is back a lot of years back, which is why my reaction will be a little more hopefully not taken as too unmanly. But like I started crying and I hugged her. I was like, this is something that I saw. And then she's
this
like,
happened last
okay,
year,
recite.
didn't it?
No, maybe I don't know. No. It happened when I was like early teens, I guess. Like the one that I can remember. And it in the dream also I'm sleeping. Okay, that's the funny part. In the dream also I'm sleeping.
He's lazy in
I
his
wake
dreams
up.
also.
Yeah, that unfortunately is true. But I'm lying down sleeping on the bed, and then near in my nani's house there's like a little section of the house that kind of opens up into their backyard basically. When I say backyard, it's like you would say like a garden or whatever, right? Like it's like there's a garden in the middle of like a old ancestral house. Yeah, so it's just one section of that goes to that. So from there I see like a black figure, like a saya bolte, right? Like a shadow or something, like a black shadow. It comes from there, and I'm lying down and I feel someone's looking at me, and then I just just raise my head and just see what's near my feet, and this thing is just slowly starts crawling all over me, the shadow, and then it just goes into my mouth and just like, and that's when I start like kind of panicking. And my mom came, she's like, hey, wake up, what happened ऐसे करके, like, and then I just started bawling my eyes. I'm like, this happened, blah blah blah. And then she recited like some verses of the Quran, like did wudu, and then she like prayed over me, just like, calm down, okay, nothing happened. So like I've had a similar dream like that when I've been staying alone like past few years. Like I have obviously no one to cry and hug me at the end of it, but but no, I'm just saying, like, yeah, these things happen, and usually, like, I mean, but it's believed like someone like cursing you or doing black magic on you. Like that's basically a sign of that.
I still get dreams about exams, man. That's so much messed up my life.
I had one.
So it's so irritating. I'll be sleeping and I'll be having like physics exam is there, going to fail, and then I'll wake up and I'll be like, okay, let me fail. I've done with school.
I know.
Or no, that's a very common thing.
Yeah, it is.
It just shows that you're actually stressed about something else, and the only other stressful situation you can kind of correlate with is like exam.
Is your physics exams.
Math.
Yeah, I had one about social studies exam of all things, and I'm like, wait a second, that was like back in 10th. I woke up, I'm like, what happened? Why am I failing my exam? And then I'm like, 1 second, this year is 2021. Like I finished my 10th grade back in 2006.
I'm like,
it should not bother me now.
I'm like, I must have failed this already. Now what's the use?
Yeah.
For me, the scariest ones that happened for me vividly was I'm sleeping. Okay, again, this is again me sleeping while I'm sleeping. We're very lazy people.
No, I'm not the only lazy person.
Yeah. So with this one, what happens? Yeah. With this
but
one,
wait, there's a difference. Z, you may be sleeping, but Shawn was sleeping with someone.
No, I was sleeping alone. So
yes, with a shadow.
Iska shadow.
Mera saya.
Kali Chudel ka. Why
are you being racist, bro?
I'm sorry. Just
Chudels can be white too.
Just Chudels.
So
hashtag all Chudels matter.
Hashtag. No, I don't want to say that. Otherwise, it'll be edited in. Never mind. Continue, Shawn. Sorry.
Hashtag Chudel lives matter.
Yeah. It's a nightmare for Shawn now, editing this stuff.
No, after the careers episode, I mean, now everything else coming out is just a piece of cake. Right. So
Continue, Sean,
for
please.
me, it was okay. So I'm sleeping, and I can feel these things wrapping around my legs. Okay, and
Hmm.
it's moving upward, and it's uh, like on my, like, wrapping around my hands, wrapping around my throat, and it's slowly and like very tightly, like, squeezing me, and it's very rough, whatever it's wrapping around me. And when I'm opening my eyes and seeing, there are like a bunch of snakes on me. Okay, and I'm being wrapped by one large snake, that's basically a python, and there are several other small snakes that are basically crawling all over me, slithering all over me, and that's the slimy, scratchy thing I feel. And I'm waking up in a cold sweat. Uh, this is like, so I directly just wake up, and like I'm sweating completely, and I'm like scared out of my mind. There's no, I don't know what's happening, and like looking around left, right, and I'm, my entire bed, my back is sweating. I think so. My entire bed, my pillow, everything is like drenched with sweat. This is with the AC on. So this was one very freaky thing. Another one was when we had, I think I stayed at my friend's house late night. So basically, what happens is, so once my friend closes up shop and everything, so we end up going for night out or whatever. But this, we went for a night out, and we were staying in a resort or something, and in the middle of the night. Now I sleep on the floor. Wherever I go, I sleep on the floor. The extra mattress. Just across me is the cupboard, and dude, I wake up screaming, like not like screaming, but like, it's looking, but just looking for someone around to like to wake them up, because I can see somebody standing right there in front of me. Okay, and I'm like going on calling the guy next to me, like, dude, there's someone in a room, there's someone in a room, and I'm awake. I'm not sleeping. I'm wide awake. There's someone in a room, and then he wakes up shocked, because even he's scared now, because who got into a room all of a sudden, and he sees these idiots had kept their shirt on a hanger and hung it on the cupboard. So it's dark, and all I can see is the silhouette of the shirt, and that's what freaked me out. And because in my sleep, I'm waking up, and I'm in the drowsy state, and I'm seeing that shirt. But that was enough for me to stay awake the entire night. I couldn't sleep after that.
Yeah, what you experienced is what someone would call as an ifrit, like an evil spirit, or
yeah, the
diabolical
evil spirit was
like,
sleeping right next to me on the bed. That idiot put his shirt on the hanger.
no, I understand that hanger part, but you said like the strangling,
The
but the
snakes one.
python going around. Yeah, the snake portion.
No, but I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the previous episode. I did mention in one episode, I guess. My friend's father passed away when I was in college. I just graduated from college, from my master's. And Z might know, because I told him about this. My friend's father passed away, and we didn't know much about the death until later. And so I don't talk to the friend anymore. But the point being that no one knew except for the friend how the dad had passed away. Okay, and so I earlier used to work out with earphones. Okay, so I have the free weights and everything at home. So I used to have earphones on, and I used to work out in the front room, because I'm alone in the entire house. So I'm working out, and all of a sudden, from nowhere, I can feel someone standing behind me. So like I told you, because I stay alone, I'm very sharp with the presence. I know there's someone behind me. And I turn around, obviously there's nobody behind me. 2-3 times I keep doing so. I'm basically standing and doing and I think it's a bench. It's not bench press, but basically you're lifting the barbell up. So with those weights, I can feel that I'm constantly feeling there's someone behind me, and I just like stop, because then after I just start freaking out. I stop, remove the earphones off, put the TV on, and just to keep as much as sound in the room as possible. Fair. The next night, so my guitar is always in the same position, and out of nowhere, for the first time in 3 years that I've played the guitar falls. As in, the position that has never failed, it has never fallen before. It falls, and it gives that bang sound. You can hear that in the entire guitar. tune this thing coming out. Now, and I'm like dead asleep, and this happens, freaks me out. Wake up, keep it back up. This goes on for 2 nights. The guitar falling. After that again, dead asleep. Now, this friend of mine and the father and I didn't have, we're not on good terms. So, of all the things that I see the friend's father face completely blue in color. Okay, and blue as in like that suffocated blue, and eyes popping out, and tongue swollen, and out of the mouth. I see that, and it just it comes right in front of the face. I see that, I freak out, and I wake up. Okay, now this is the only dream I've got about this person. Couple of months later, I think, once the friend and I we reconnect, that time my friend tells me that no, I went and I saw my father in the. So then she tells me, so then they tell me that I went and saw my dad's body in the mortuary and all that, in the ice box and stuff. So apparently, what happened was the father had drowned because of a stroke or something, and nobody knew about it because he was in the terrace pool. I mean, he died, and later on, I think maybe an hour later, something like that, they went up because they noticed he's missing or something. They went up in the water, and so what she described seeing in the mortuary was literally what I had seen in my dream, as in the way that she described the face, and I did not know how the person had died. So I had seen the person's face. I had seen literally the word to word how she had described how he had looked. I had literally seen the same thing. And after that, till date, I never work out with earphones in my ear. It's always I put the phone on loudspeaker or the music on loudspeaker, and I'm working, but never earphones. And light is always on in my room when I sleep. That freaked out.
I didn't realize. Yeah. Damn. I didn't realize that this was when you were doing your masters.
No, after masters. No, after masters.
Really? Sure. I could have thought that this is around 2013 when I moved here. I don't know why. Oh yeah, that is around the time. Sorry.
So this is the level of freaky stuff that happens around me half the time.
Okay, so I have a small piece in front of me that I can see on Reddit's subreddit r/scary stories by the user R Grace Sauce. Nice name, by the way. Shout out. So the story title is Horrifying Experience During Quarantine. So I'm going to try and do my creepy voice. I don't think it'll go down too well. Rishi wants to hear it in Donald Trump voice, but that would be counterproductive. So let's try this. Creepy. That is creepy. Okay. So it goes something like this. So it's a first person story. So I'll just think as if this happened to me. I was upstairs in my room one night playing video games with volume really loud when I thought I heard noises coming from downstairs. I muted the TV and listened closer. Nothing. I resumed playing the game for another hour when I heard it again, only getting louder. I was sure I heard it this time and was a little freaked out. To assure myself, I went downstairs to the basement where I thought I heard the noise coming from. As soon as I opened the door to the basement, I was hit with a cold breeze. I went downstairs and saw the window wide open. I was 100% sure that I had closed and locked all the windows in the house. I was ready to make a run for it when something stopped me. I turned around and for the first time noticed the closet door was slightly cracked open. I stood for what seemed like 30 minutes in front of that door, debating whether I should open it or not. I moved closer and put my hand on the doorknob. All of a sudden, I heard a creepy crackle coming from inside the closet. I have never run faster up a flight of stairs before. I locked the door and called the cops, who had an unusually fast response time. They came in and searched the house And not even 5 minutes into their search, I heard a gunshot from downstairs. A few minutes later, they came out with a deranged looking man, probably homeless. They put him in the back of the car and told me they had opened the door, and the man was holding a gun, shot at them and missed. He luckily missed, and the cops disarmed him and arrested him. The scariest part was how close I was to opening that door and likely being murdered. Scary. If it would
So
happen
see,
to
how
me,
does
yeah,
it feel to almost be murdered?
feels good. To
Similar.
almost being not being murdered.
This is similar to one we had heard, I think, one of the, on the other one other podcast thing, which is like about the same deranged guy standing outside and all, but he had escaped from the mental asylum and stuff. If you remember.
He ate the
Hmm.
cigarette butts and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that,
yeah,
no?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
That was a good story, actually.
Mm. I have one. The Villisca Axe Murder House in Villisca, Iowa, is a well-known tourist attraction for ghost hunters and horror lovers alike. The site of a gruesome, unsolved 1912 murder in which six children and two adults had their skulls completely crushed by the axe of an unknown perpetrator was purchased in 1994, restored to its 1912 condition, and converted into a tourist destination. It costs $428 a night to stay at the old haunted home, where the visitors always report a strange paranormal experience, such as visions of a man with an axe roaming the halls or faint screams of children. But in November 2014, the haunting took a darker turn. Robert Stephen Lawson Jr. of Rhinelander, Wisconsin, was on a regular recreational paranormal visit with his friends when true horror struck. This is what the news has reported about it. His companions found him stabbed in the chest, an apparently self-inflicted wound, called 911, and Lawson was brought to a nearby hospital before being helicoptered to the Cretan University Medical Center in Omaha. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office said Lawson suffered a self-inflicted wound at about 12:45 a.m., which is around the same time the 1912 axe murders in the house began. Lawson recovered from his injuries but has never spoken publicly about what occurred that day. For Martha Lynn, the owner of the home, the incident was very upsetting. It's publicity. It is publicity, and it's not exactly the kind of publicity you desire to have. I don't want people thinking that when they come to the Villisca Axe Murder House, something's going to happen, going to make them do something like that. The house remains open for tourist visits and overnight stays in today. I think this is similar to that. Was the Amityville Horror?
Yeah.
This one I have actually heard of. I'm not sure if you have heard of this. The Martles Plantation. Of the numerous spirits haunting this plantation, built in 1796 in St. Francisville, Louisiana, the most known entity is Chloe. It is said that the plantation owner, Clark Woodruff, carried on an affair with a slave, Chloe, which he ended abruptly. She began to eavesdrop on his conversation and he caught her. As punishment, he cut her ear off. She then poisoned the rest of his family with a birthday cake, leaving him alone. The other slaves knew what she had done and hanged her. She supposedly still remains on the property with a photograph from 1992 where her spirit is reportedly still visible.
Okay, I've got a small creepy story.
Mhm.
So let's try it out. I watched as soon as my soon-to-be father-in-law held his daughter's hand as he walked down the aisle. Tears streamed down his face as the wedding march that played in the background reminded him that in a few minutes he'll be watching me hold his daughter's hand and slipping on her ring. He walked up to the altar and I took hold of her hand, grinning from ear to ear. It was the happiest day of my life. My bride's father got down on his knees and started begging, "Please, I did what you asked. Just give me, just please give me my daughter back." I glared at him. "Shut up and stop ruining the moment. If you sit back down and enjoy the ceremony, maybe I'll tell you where I have hidden the rest of her body.
Oh,
Wow.
that was a
Wow.
twist. That was a twist.
Wow.
I definitely did not. I thought the bride is going to die or something, but is going to die. That was a nice twist, man.
Yeah, it was a pretty good short story, so that's why I wanted to read that. Okay, I got one more.
Hmm.
I pointed the gun at the sick bastard who killed my wife. He sobbed as he feared for what was about to come. I pulled the trigger. If only he spoke and tried to reason with me, then maybe he could have lived. But that was obviously not going to happen. After all, he was born just a few minutes ago.
Oh,
Oh my God.
that
Did you
was
get it?
unnecessarily dark.
What kind of twisted stuff people write, man?
I mean, no, but you do have people living it. So
Living it?
yeah, I mean,
Can't imagine doing that.
you have many stories man, of like this child is cursed because of him or her. The mother died at childbirth, and you have a lot of those cases here.
Oh yeah. I've seen. Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. No? Like even Game of Thrones they did that. No, Tyrion was considered bad luck
Hmm.
because his mother died.
But like you read about these things, I mean, in as stories and stuff. Sure, yeah, okay, it's creepy. But if you hear about it, it's sad and it's like it's terrifying as to understand that humans can go to that extent.
That is true.
This story is from Pennsylvania, 1938. The West family went out after, and this is a true story, by the way. The West family went out after church for an outing in the country, one that involved Marjorie, who's 4 years old, and her 11-year-old sister uh, going to pick wildflowers. The sister went to talk to the parents, and Marjorie disappeared from the middle of an wide open field. This might seem like a standard issue kidnapping story, save for the fact that Marjorie's life might well have intersected with Georgia Tan, the woman who ran the Tennessee Children's Home Society. Praised for her ability to find homes for the children who needed them, Tan actually abducted more than 1,200 children and then placed them with rich families in far off states like California, often for a hefty fee. If Marjorie did somehow meet Tan or someone who worked with her, she could be alive today unaware of her true identity. Like I said, the true horror is when you know that humans are capable of such stuff.
I got a nice, creepy one. A young boy is sleeping in his bed on a usual night. He hears footsteps outside his door and he peeks out of his eyes to see what is happening. His door swings open quietly to reveal a murderer carrying the corpses of his parents. After silently propping them up on a chair, he writes something on the wall in the blood of the dead bodies. He then hides under the child's bed. The child is scared beyond belief. He he can't read the writing on the wall, and he knows the man is under his bed. Like any child, he pretends that he's slept through the whole thing and hasn't awoken yet. He lays still as the bodies as still as the bodies, quietly hearing the breaths from under his bed. An hour passes, and his eyes are adjusting more and more to the darkness. He tries to make out the words, but it's a struggle. He gasps when he finally makes out the sentence. I know you're awake. He feels something underneath his bed.
Oh, okay.
Creepy.
Wait, so then
Much
they
too much.
basically waited. I mean, he waited for so long just to say that. Like, before he entered itself, he's like, "Oh, I know you're awake, so I'm just going to write it over here."
Yeah, very concentrated killer.
I don't know how to pronounce this. I think this is in Kerala we pronounce it as Pishash. So I think this is something on the same lines. So it is
Yeah.
Pishacha.
Yeah, exactly.
Pishacha. A vampire-like creature, the Pishachas in Hindu theology are believed to feed on the flesh of both the living and the dead. And horrifically, they are particularly fond of dining on pregnant women. Described as having a human-like form with protruding red eyes and bulging veins all over their bodies, They are particularly unpleasant looking demon. Pishachas haunt cremations and burial grounds, abandoned homes, and places where violent deaths have occurred. In more modern times, they are said to haunt places such as discos and nightclubs, where they feed on negative energies in what are seen as vice ridden venues, and where they look to possess vulnerable individuals. An ancient spirit has been around since creation. The Pishacha have their own language known as uh, Paishachi. They are believed to possess the paranormal ability to become invisible and to shapeshift and to assume any forms at will. These ancient and tricky spirits can possess minds, driving their possessed human to negative thoughts and behaviors and feeding on the conflict and misery that arises as a result. The possession can drive the possessed to insanity. Special mantras are needed to exorcise these harmful spirits. To keep those pishachas satiated and at bay, they are given their share of offerings during certain religious functions and festivals.
So, I don't know the origin of this, but the story goes something like this. We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the new construction, quote unquote, converting the kitchen to the master bedroom, for instance, while I'm on wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every wall and ceiling. Removing it is brutal but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel similar to your skin when you're peeling from a sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kinda make a game of peeling on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and a date. Curiosity got the best of me one night when I googled one of the names and discovered the person was actually a missing person. The missing date matching the date under the wallpaper. The next day, I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was for a missing person with dates to match. We notified the police, who naturally sent out the crime scene team. I overheard one tech say, "Yup, it's human." Human? What's human? Ma'am, where is the material you removed from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing. Oh my.
The human skin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And there, my friends, was the first ever non-racist serial killer
Oh, he killed white people.
because he colored the walls with all different skin tones. Like imagine hair on that on the walls.
And
If
they
you
didn't
get killed, the
notice it.
Indian guy will be full hairy on the wall. Maybe he waxed the bodies before peeling it out.
So this one is from the user WendigoRoar from the subreddit WendigoRoar, and shout out to you, buddy. All right. So this story is titled as an intruder downstairs. The explosion of thunder outside Macy's bedroom window startled her out of an incredible dream. Macy, her mom's called startled her out of her dream. Macy checked the time on her cell phone, then yelled back, "It's 2 in the morning, Mom." Silence. Then the sounds of shuffling downstairs. "Mom?" Macy called out. More silence. Followed by a piercing scream that traveled from high and sharp to low and burbling. "Oh my God," Macy whispered to herself. There was a heavy thump on the stairs, and another, and another. And when the sounds reached the top of the stairs, the thumps began traveling down the hallway. Each heavy thud, sounding like the footsteps of an enormous animal, brought whatever was making them closer to Macy's door. Finally, right on the other side of the door, they stopped. Macy trembled, sweat pouring down her face, waiting for something, anything to happen. There was only silence. grew and grew and was shattered by three quiet knocks. More silence stretching out, and then three more soft knocks. Macy tried to respond, but her throat clenched, and instead of words, she made a gagging sound. Three more gentle knocks. Swallowing, taking a deep breath, Macy tried again. "Hello," she said tremulously. She screamed as something started smashing against the door, battering it, rattling it, making sounds of explosion. Then the hammering at her door stopped. Macy kept screaming. She was too terrified to stop. She screamed, and her throat burned, but she couldn't stop screaming. Her throat gave out before her fear did. The sounds of her terror dissolving into dry gasps and a gripping, catching sensation in her chest. Not being able to scream anymore seemed to help Macy settle down. There were three more taps at her door. Macy was too terrified to do anything but stare at the door, trembling. The door handle turned. The door clicked open. Macy began hyperventilating, gasping for air. From outside the door, a voice sounding like 1 and 1,000, all speaking at once, spoke in a singular chorus. "Macy." The door gently swung open, revealing a pitch blackness so dark it cast an aura. Suddenly, the darkness was torn open in two spots. The red eyes pierced the stark black. Macy was frozen. It felt like her brain had shut down. She couldn't process anything, just watch and listen. A red mouth appeared, open in a horrible, ferocious grin. The sounds of a multitude of screams and moans rushed out of it. "Welcome," the evil chorus spoke again, "to hell." And for one moment, Macy felt every pain ever felt, every evil thought, every despair, every perverted lust, every harm ever conceived or enacted upon humanity. And in that moment, she snapped. Her heart shattered. Her soul was torn to shreds. As blood foamed from her mouth and poured out her eyes like crimson agony, her skin lost all color and tone and became ashen. Her hair ignited in flame, and her eyes gleamed like obsidian and were just as dark. As Macy's body was consumed, she fell back, not onto her bed, but into oblivion. Nice writing, nice writing.
Writing is good. Okay, so the story will be very. I think Zishan should like the story. The story is called "Always Check the French Fries."
Oh, okay.
Okay. In a small town, there was a popular fast food restaurant. The owner was a hardworking man, but he had a son named Derek who was very lazy. The father was short of staff, so he hired his son to work for the summer. One evening, Derek's father was away on business, so he had to leave Derek in charge of the restaurant. His father left French fries in the deep fat fryer, and as he was leaving, he warned Derek to check the fries. But being a lazy, you know what, Derek soon forgot about checking the fries. Suddenly, the phone rang, and when Derek answered, a creepy voice said, "Have you checked the fries?" Derek thought it was his father checking upon him, so he said everything was just fine and hung up without checking the french fries. A few minutes later, the phone rang again, and the creepy voice said, "When are you going to check the fries?" Derek just laughed and hung up again. A few minutes later, the phone rang a third time, and the creepy voice said, "I strongly advise you to check on those fries." Derek decided he better check on the fries, so he lifted the pan out of the deep fat fryer. Suddenly, he screamed and recoiled in horror. Instead of French fries, it was the severed head of his father. Worse still, it was only half fried. Even worse, there was a note attached to it that read, "I told you to check the fries."
Oh,
Oh shit. Twisted. Crazy.
Twisted.
okay. Now that you mentioned Derek, right? So there's one personal story I have, and I think
Now that I mentioned this, yes, tell the personal story.
no.
Does it
What,
involve
bro?
French fries?
No, it involves a guy called Derek though. When I was in Chennai, I had this is the time when I had just left school, the college. So I didn't have a place to go, so I was staying with my friends. And this was around the time I think it was Diwali, so most of the people had gone back to their hometown. So Derek and I was staying with Derek in his PG. It was quite late night, so we were sitting and playing and stuff like that. Around 3:34 in the morning. So Derek is a guy who's like very brave. He's a guy who goes around catching snakes. He's had pet snakes also in the hostel, where he would capture the snakes in the wild in the campus, and he would put it into the bottle and bring it to the hostel rooms. Overall, honestly, he's a very brave fellow. So he was like, we were talking about this horror stories and ghost stories and stuff like that, and we were like saying that 3 o'clock, 3:15 is usually the time where you have these ghost sightings and stuff like that. Now, the place where we were staying is called Sri Perumbudur, which is like a little outside Chennai, and there's a temple
Yeah, I
over
know.
there.
I've heard the name Perumbudur because of that Golmaal dialogue.
So near the place where we were staying, there is a small temple, and like, those temples which has those descending steps with a lot of water in it. So it's one of those temples, and we decided to get extremely brave, and we said, okay, we'll do one thing, we'll take a walk. So we take a walk and we go towards the temple side, and it's not like we're planning to go and sit in the temple. We just walk around the area, and Derek's like, bro, you were saying na, 3 o'clock, 3:15 is the so-called ghost witching hour and stuff. So take it, we go and sit over there. I said, fine. So we go towards the temple side, and we're sitting opposite, like, so you can see the water in the middle. It's cool, okay. And we're sitting there, and he and I just start talking about random stuff, about mostly about college and works, how all our future and everything's supposed to be like. Now, all of a sudden, what Derek sees is there's a guy on the opposite side, okay, and there's a lot of light behind him. And this is like around like early morning, around the 3 o'clock, 3:30 time. So there's not much light as such. There's only the street lamps are there. So this particular light that is there, it was a vertical light, okay, and there are no vertical tube lights. Okay, it's just a vertical light that's there, and it's right behind this guy who's having a white, those Indian cloth, the towels we have. There's a white cloth over there, and he's just standing over there. He's waving his hand. So Derek sees that, he's like, I don't think you're supposed to sit too. I think we have to move from here. I said, why? There's this guy is standing over, I think asking us to move. So I also see the guy, and like, okay, we'll move from there. So then from the other side, you can see this guy. He's not asking us to move, he's asking us to wait there. So we were like, move, not to move, whatever. So then Derek from this side, he just says, okay, like from he's showing his hand and saying basically, no, wait, we'll come that side. So the other guy on the other side raises his hand, and he basically says, okay, fine. Now, we don't see the guy's face properly. We can only see that he's covered his head in white, and he's wearing a white vest. We have those the bunions, right? And a bluish sort of vesti, mund, lungi, whatever. We cross the water body, whatever it is. And then we come to that side, and we are looking at this guy as we're walking, because Derek is like, what, like 3 o'clock in the morning? Who's asking us to, wait for so long? Also, we both are constantly looking at this guy. We walk past, and there is a small, it's tapri, what we call, right? So like a small shack sort of a thing, basically one very small cubicle kind of a thing. We just cross that. Once we cross that, this guy's not to be seen. We go there. There is no light there. It is dark. There is no light source there. Okay, the only lights we are seeing is from the street light, but what we saw was a vertical light behind this guy. Okay, now Derek swore that he saw a guy. I am 100% sure I saw that guy, and we both saw the guy. But the moment, and see, if the guy is like, he's communicating with us, he's telling us, no, you wait there. Then we're saying we're coming there. He said, okay, fine, come. But we just a fraction of a second that you cross the tapri or whatever it is, we cross that, and this guy is gone. He's not been seen anywhere after that. So it's not like he can disappear out of the blue because this, like, he can just get into the shop. There's no space there. I mean, there's no place to hide over there. It's basically an open area where if he wants, we can see the guy moving. So we didn't discuss anything after that. We just turned back, went back to the room, kept the lights on, locked the doors, locked the windows, and we just sat there the entire time. We didn't even sleep.
The power of Christ compels us. The power of Christ compels us. Stay away, Satan.
Like, so this, like, that's what it's very weird. I have this very weird experiences, like the chapel thing that you're telling me to say, right? So
actually, I tell the chapel story, since when we removed it from the superstition one,
urban legend one.
Urban legend one, yeah. It is a good story.
So the chapel one story that is, right, basically goes like this. So this is basically another thing that happened to me. A friend of mine, Samir, and myself, we were supposed to be preparing the chapel for the next day's chapel service in school. So this happened in Bangalore, Bishop Cotton Boys School. Now, the school at that point was actually undergoing some renovations, and they were building up some new staff room or something like that. And there were a lot of bamboo sticks that were kept as support beams for the construction. Now, the chapel as such already has this very scary aura, and people tend to stay away from it in the night, especially past 7 o'clock, 7:30. Now, Samir and I, we had the keys to the chapel because we were helping around in the chapel a lot at that time. Now, since we were preparing for the next day, we had left. I think I had left my locker keys, something inside the chapel, or something we left over there. We had to go check it out, basically. Now, after dinner, we had enough time. After dinner, after second studies and everything, this is somewhere around 9 o'clock in the evening, in the late night. So we were supposed to rush back to the dormitory before the locks are up. Now, the chapel is based on a very old English construction style. So what they do is basically there's a small lamp that is kept inside the chapel with the light on always, and it is the only source of light in the room, which basically says that the presence of God is still there in the chapel. So now the problem is that generally we have a yellow color or the 0-watt bulb that is there, which is kept as the illumination source. But our bulb at that point was a red color bulb, so it's a blood red in color. And when we go to the chapel that time, we can hear the piano playing. Now, I remember locking the chapel. Samir remembers watching me lock the chapel, and we know for a fact the chapel is locked, even the side doors. So there's no way that anyone can enter the chapel and play the piano. And the piano also has a lid which is locked always, unless and until one of our people are playing, and that is only once we open the chapel. And now it's not like it is a hymn that is being played, or it is some known music that is being played. It is a very mournful music, the tone that is being played. There is no light apart from a very small light that is just above the piano that is on. And Samir and I, we're shit scared, and we go towards the chapel, and we can still hear the music playing. And so Samir is making noise as we walk, hoping that whoever is inside the chapel will hear this sound that we're making and just stop. But no, the music keeps on playing. As we go towards the chapel, so the windows are a little different. Where the windows basically it's not like it's not sliding upward; it slides left to right, so you can see what's happening inside. So when we tilted the windows, it creaked because it had just been recently painted. So once it creaked, the piano playing just stops, and what Samir and I can see is a lady playing the piano, and she has curly hair. The piano playing stops, and she turns around and she looks straight at us. And Samir and I have not ran that fast ever before that or since that. It turns out that it was the principal's wife who was playing the piano. So apparently this was a normal thing, and she used to come once in a blue moon just to practice. And she used to come and sit in the chapel, and she used to play because that piano was well tuned and everything. So yeah, that gave us a fright, and that became a story to say. So we just usually used to cut out that was the principal's wife part of the story. But the thing is, we've never seen her around the school to know that it was the principal's wife. If we had seen her, then we would recognize her. We have not seen her.
Then you would have been aware of,
yeah, so that's what. So on that note, we wish everybody a very frightful, happy Halloween. And since we are recording this pre-rated, we are hoping that in the future of Halloween, COVID is much, much better and things are not as bad as it is now. And we survive. You know what the creepiest thing would be? That if we don't survive and this thing is scheduled and this thing goes online.
I would be happy.
At least one thing to remember us with.
Yeah, but we're talking about ghost stories and then we're all dead and this thing just currently just goes on Spotify and on YouTube. Scheduled.
No, the fourth member who is out there might someday just sit and listen to it. Yes, there's nothing more scarier in this world right now than the COVID pandemic. So please just get scared of it and don't do stupid stuff. Get vaccinated, wear a mask, and maintain social distance.
Cases are rising up in Canada too. Latest wave has affected kids as well. My cousin was telling me about a kid she saw who got in COVID from daycare, she heard about. So yeah, just be careful, guys. Take all precautions necessary.
All right then. So you heard from us, and we had a lot of ghost stories. Actually, a lot more that we had left to read, but time constraints and all that, so we stopped halfway through. We may pick this up another time, another episode, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes. So depending on the performance of this episode on Spotify as well as on YouTube, accordingly we'll decide. That being said, you can find us on Spotify as What's for Today. You can find us on Google Podcasts. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube under Langford's Excellence channel, or you can just directly search for What's for Today and you can find us there. And we'll see you in the next episode. Till then, ta-ta, bye-bye. Stay safe, stay sanitized, and stay healthy. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.